Welcome to a new video. Today's video is doing is presence, speaking is observational awareness, silence and talking pertaining to presence. Pertaining? So doing is presence, speeding is observational awareness, speaking is observational awareness, silence and talking pertaining to presence. Just so you guys would read it with me. Doing is presence, speaking is observational awareness, silence and talking pertaining to presence or pertaining presence. See, when I write stuff like, and when something clicks and I just instantly grab my book. All right, it is pertaining to presence. So doing is presence. I've discussed that many times. The act of being present is being engaged. I'm assuming you're kind of like in the mood of doing, in the actual zone of doing something, right? That makes sense. Speaking is observational awareness. Now, I want to make a distinction between speaking and talking, because I think when you're speaking, you're elaborating on something, but when you're talking, you're kind of like you're re-engaging with something you spoke about before. And the perfect example I would say with like when you and another person are speaking to each other, that makes sense. The two people speak to each other, but a group of people talk to each other, right? Ultimately, the easier way I actually look at it, or the simpler way I look at it, is when more than one person is around, you don't really have a strong connection towards yourself because like people kind of like take you away from it. I talked about it in a couple extra videos before. The idea behind you saying something or you talking about something and the difference that actually exists, because ultimately like when I'm saying something, I'm like exploring something through the words, which is, I think, here is the observational awareness, the speaking part. But like at the bottom of the note, there's silence and talking. Because speaking is observational awareness. But what is silence? If talking, we established talking is just kind of like engaging, but not really like expressing. Silence, what is it? Is it a solemn reflection? If speaking is you exploring yourself and allowing Daisy. If speaking is allowing, I had to pause this video because my dog was not my dog, my cousin's dog was barking. Here, come, Daisy. Let me introduce you to the people. Daisy, come. Here, come. Here, up. Meet Daisy. Daisy, the golden retriever. I'm trying to understand her, man. It's funny, animals are kind of, I don't know. My cats don't have a problem with her, though. So, speaking, silence, talking. If speaking and talking are on opposite sides of the spectrum, or are they? So maybe they're triangular, right? Because like when you're speaking, something's happening. When you're silent, something's happening. And when you're talking, something's happening. So if talking is just, I very much, anyway, I look at talking is a very, it's just time consuming. Speaking the way I say here is observational awareness. That means, if anything, you're kind of like exploring the presence that you might be getting into. It's an elaboration of where you stand in terms of what you can do or the presence that's in front of you. But then silence, man, because when you're silent, when you're present, you're actually silent, right? When you're doing something, you're actually silent. When you're in the moment, the last thing you do is talk or speak. So I think silence is presence. Anytime you're going to consider silence, anytime you're going to consider presence, it's going to come with silence. So hear me out. It seems like talking is at the edge because that's the last thing that's the first sign that we're not really in the moment or present or any of that stuff. But when we see ourselves speaking, it kind of is an elaboration of where we stand or the distance we have from us and the moment. And then you have silence when there's nothing left to say. And in the silence, the magic happens, right? So pertaining to presence, silence is presence. And that's the one, silence is presence and talking isn't. And if there's a spectrum, then speaking is in between. Because you talk until you have nothing to talk about. And then you speak your truth. And when you finish with your truths and speak them all, and when there's nothing to speak about, you're silent. And at that time, your presence is beyond yourself. Doing. The idea is to do. I'm having one of those moments, by the way. Work needs to be done. And I ordered some stuff in order to start conducting interviews with people. Starting tomorrow, I think I'm gonna start taking my work, I guess, or the work that I have to do. So here's the thing. Just hit me that I've been talking about the things that I like, that I'm doing. Or at least recently I've been talking. At one point I was kind of like doing them. Right now, the movement of my actual platform requires me to go and talk to people. At the very least, so the actual UI UX designer gets enough data to be comfortable designing something for me. So we don't kind of like waste money, waste time, waste energy. horribly enough, I feel like I've been resisting it. Now is the perfect time because I have a car to go do stuff. And I can actually like go around and do it. But I've been using this dog as an excuse. So I've been feeling like I've been talking about this, about what I'm doing, but really not really doing anything about it because I can't. Because anything I do literally just kind of like is going to change. So why the fuck would you do it? Yeah, yeah, experience, yeah, all that stuff. But we both know the true experience happens when you're consistently approaching something and expanding on it. I said something the other day, 4 videos a day would make 40 videos, and then I'll be able to take 40 days in silence. And at the very least, like I'll have time that's only looking at what I have to do. It's just a restructuring in my head, man. I don't know. But I love the fact that like I went from like speaking and on one side there's presence through silence and completely out of it to just talking. And it got me in those moments. Anyways, it's a video. See you on the next one.